Afternoon. Hello and good afternoon.
Is it afternoon? It's evening for you guys. It's
It's
definitely evening for me.
it's 6:30 in the evening.
So you
Yeah.
Here I am. I
hey,
should be looking on this camera.
I
Hello,
mean,
everybody.
Yeah. Hi.
Here we are with another episode of the Planet Earth podcast, or Urfspace Live, or the Zardos Connection, or See You Next Wednesday. I don't know. We've been going for a while. Follow us on YouTube. YouTube. We're trying to go onto YouTube, Planet Earth on YouTube, Urfspace on Instagram. And we're talking about comics and cartoons and drawings. I'm going to do a drawing. Amber's going to do a drawing. Chris, maybe he's going to play some music, and we're going to talk about stuff. And you can send us your comments. We've been on in the mornings. We're trying a later slot now. You can see, if you look on the YouTube channel, you can see all the different shorts I've been doing recently. And now I'm just going to improvise a drawing on the show live. My name is Chuck Whelan, and I'm here with my co-hosts Amber Greenlee and Chris Porro. He's there. And I after like a nice introduction like that, then I play the theme music, and then we'll start the show properly. All right.
One day I was wandering through the aisles of my art store. I bought myself a Inktober and some recenly. I made a fancy comic, and now I am all set to be the greatest web cartoonist on the fucking internet. I'll have a forum and a blog and links from DVD. I'll get reviewed by a web star, and William G. The world to be a royster. I think it's a safe bet when you're the greatest web cartoonist on the fucking internet. When you're the greatest web cartoonist on the fucking
All right,
Yay!
and that's our theme song there. It's called the Web Cartoonist Song by a cartoonist, Owen Dunn of, is it You Damn Kid? You Damn Kid, he did or does. He'd been very generous about letting me use that song, or letting us use that song as a theme tune for the show. I used it for my previous show, did with Adam Prosser, who is my co-writer on the Pewful webcomic. We did a show where we interviewed cartoonists, and we've been interviewing web cartoonists. We've been interviewing cartoonists on this show, but today we're just going to interview each other. We don't have any guests, so we're trying a new thing in the evening. It's like a reset. Yeah, we've been sort of going in the mornings, and we were sort of like came out of the pandemic, but now we're like, okay, yeah. Chris is putting his glasses on. He can be more serious now. Chris,
I'm an Italian film director now from the 70s, y'all.
Yeah. So, Chris, what's the news this week?
The news. I can tell you what my news is. My news. What is the news? Okay.
I'm going to turn on my art cam.
Yeah. Okay, Amber. Yeah, you turn on your art cam.
What is the news?
What are you going to draw for us today, Amber?
I don't know. You're doing the drawing as you go thing.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Yeah. Last time I drew a microphone.
Oh.
Yeah, because we were talking about podcasts and stuff.
All right. That's a bit easy though. That's a microphone.
I don't know.
But I know this. Yeah, I know. I was trying to do something easy. But all right, today I want to do something more of a landscape. I don't know. My camera seems to be the wrong way around.
Wait a second. Are you guys going to draw and then I'm going to fall asleep because I ate a burger? Is that how this is going to
No, because we chat away while we're drawing. But you have to I'm going to adjust my camera here. You have to we have to think about what to talk about. I mean, what's going on? We talked about, if you're a backer of my Kickstarter that was back in the summer, you'll do a Kickstarter reward, which Chris is one of them. I'm getting to that tomorrow, or at least Friday, by the end of this week. That's my goal, to have started on that. I've been playing catch up ever since the event, so but I'm sort of more or less caught up with things. So yeah, now I'm ready. Like, got to wait for the dust to settle because I can't. It's really hard to focus on doing the Kickstarter awards until the decks are clear because there are lots of sort of moving parts in that. I've got to get a bit of this and a bit of that, but I've got all the products. So all the CDs are here, the books are here. So everything's pretty much ready to go out. The digital version of the album is going to be the last thing to come out. That will be available, I'm saying around the end of October, because they want a bit of time for it to go out to the streaming services. But I think it's passed all the checks.
I don't know. Did CD Baby tell you that? Because they can't be trusted.
They did tell me that.
I call them trustless baby.
What problems have you had with them?
Well, I'll tell you because they're not responding to me, so I don't feel bad about airing this to our 5 viewers. But
we're down a viewer because Tina's yoga at this hour. That's the problem with having the show at this time. If anybody else wants to put the show at a different time, please let us know.
Well, I mean, we've been trying to have that discussion. Like, if we have it on the weekend, then you guys can't go to Charm World concerts.
Well, it's difficult. I don't want to have that commitment on a weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of like the time when you can go out and you can do stuff.
Yeah.
And some stuff only happens. A lot of that stuff happens on the weekends, like concerts and art shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. You guys live in a fantastic city.
You're in a city too, aren't you?
I am. I'm in Denver.
You're not in the. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has art shows and all of that stuff too. I'm just not tapped into that world. You have to have money to be in that world, and I am not.
Oh, you're talking about rich people buying art. We're talking about our poor friends making art. See, that's the difference. Your creative friends, I'm sure wherever they're going to in Denver are doing it on the cheap.
Oh yeah, I have creative friends like that are doing it on the cheap, and then I also have other friends that are hung in galleries and stuff. And so, I don't know. I know you're not supposed to compare yourself to other people, but it's really hard not to.
The Dalai Lama says you shouldn't.
No, yeah, there's a lot to be learned from the Dalai Lama.
Well, I mean, the problem with that is you compare yourself to people at this level, and then when you get to the next level, there's always a group of people that has more, they're smarter, more talented, and all this other stuff. I mean, there's always your chances are stacked against you that, there's always someone to compare yourself to where you don't stack up.
Yeah, you're just you're just a bit of the universe that's being you right now. You've been other things. You've been boiling away. All the atoms that are you have all been other things.
Yeah, in my past lives, I was
boiled away in stars and been all sorts of things. It's amazing to see where all the bits of your body have actually been.
I've heard all these stories of people being other famous, talented, rich people in prior lives, but no one ever says I was a complete loser with no ambition, accomplished nothing, and my adult children won't speak to me. Nobody says they were that thing.
Well, they wouldn't have much desire to come back, though, would they?
Well, but I don't think reincarnation.
Fuck that. I'm not playing that game again.
Reincarnation doesn't doesn't just pick the best people to reincarnate, does it? I don't know how it works.
Ian believes in reincarnation.
It's about your will. If you had a sucky time on Earth, why would you wouldn't want to come back, would you?
But I don't
if you were the Queen of Egypt, you'd be like, I want to get back there.
By the way, Roxy Roller says, "Hey Chuck."
Oh, hey Roxy. Thanks for tuning in.
Magic Marmot says, "This is amazing."
Wow, we have a local celebrity in the chat thing.
Yeah, local celebrity. Woo!
I like it. Maybe even regional celebrity. I don't know. Maybe he'll tell us in the chat parts.
Why is he a local celebrity?
He
Roxy?
is rocker of.
Yeah.
I'll let check. So I love this how he's listening to us and we're going to tell him who he is.
Oh, he's gonna be
we're
like,
like- we're like
yeah.
least-
Let's see what they know about me.
We're probably like the least knowledgeable, but I'll give it a shot. Like, I think he's a events organizer, and
Well, he's a musician.
Yeah, he's a
like
musician.
incredibly. First of all, he's a very incredibly talented musician. And he lives the life of like in the community, playing his music. He lives up above the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic with his wife, they've been married for, I don't know, 25 years or something, or maybe longer. I think they were like something about almost as long as Tina and I. And he's been putting on these concerts up there every Saturday. And he did like a concerts in the park, and he invited us, Chris and I, to go. Invited to go and read the book. And Chris played the guitar, and I read from the book, like his speakeasy event. And that's a spoken word event that happens every Sunday. His company's Chrome Spider Presents.
Chrome Spider, that's cool.
Also owns a ranch out in the desert, so like Sky Ranch, or
Can we
Star
speculate
Ranch,
on
Star Ranch.
Does it have animals on it or plants or what?
I've seen him play in San Francisco. He's playing with his band Swamp Thing with the guy Evan Stiletto. They're both amazing. So that's amazing bands. And and then he plays in a band XOX. Is that right? With his wife,
And
Barbara.
Barbara.
That's amazing. I love that band. They're brilliant. And then I've heard him also do more like trance music and stuff like that. So he's so very multi-talented. He invites all these musicians to come and play.
He's been very active in the chat. Loca, I am worldwide. Local.
Roxy's worldwide. I went
I
went all the way. I went all the way to regional. Roxy's gonna.
Chrome Spider.
Well, we live in the city of the world,
We're reconstructing Roxy's life.
I am in like 6 bands at least.
2 facts that we know.
Frida Kahlo said San Francisco was the city of the world. So if you're local here, then you're local to the world.
Oh, I think you're gonna make him mad calling him local again.
Local. This is a local show. If you're not local, go away. This is a local show.
I'm in Denver. Am I supposed to leave?
All right, that's local enough. That's local enough. I'm not used to the distances here yet. That's like going from London to Southampton. That's quite. Yeah, that's not too bad.
I think it's further than that.
It's more like going from
London to the ocean.
Kyiv.
It's more like going from
London to
not
Paris.
in England anymore.
You'd have to go.
It's much further than that.
Because
you guys only have the little channel, and we have a mountain range. So the mountain range is much wider than the English Channel.
It's like 2,000 or 3,000 miles, Chuck. It's like anywhere in England to anywhere not in England.
Yeah, like I said, like
England's the size of Roxy's in like 6 bands at least. See, that was a question I actually had for him. I was like, how many bands are you in? Because I think I know of at least.
Does Roxy want to come on as a guest?
Oh, you should come on, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah,
you can
Roxy,
tell
you should
stories.
come on. You should come on. You could come on as guest right now.
And then he can correct you guys.
Yeah, you can come on right now.
Then he can correct you guys. Let's see. Should I leave this? Is this a podcast?
I can do invite guests. I can do.
He says I don't know.
You should just invite him, and then if he shows up, he shows up. And if you don't show up, that's fine too.
Hang on, I'm gonna send the link.
Let's see. I think we will.
I like what you're drawing, Chuck. It looks a lot like some drywall.
That's cool white paper, yeah.
That's a cool. You really nailed that drywall there.
Well, there was that story in the about the artist, the Danish artist, who they asked him. He'd made some money, some pieces with money, like where it was sort of different currencies, and it was supposed to be represent a day's wages in different countries in the currency of the different countries. And so this museum paid him to recreate them, And in the end, he just turned in some blank canvases and said, and entitled them "Take the Money and Run."
Yes.
And he said, well, the budget they gave him, which was tens of thousands of dollars, didn't include the fact that he had to deduct the cost of the money, which was thousands of dollars. Well, it wasn't that much, but I mean,
It just confirms
It was a day's
what I
wage in all
already
these different countries.
suspect.
Anyway, so he got in a lot of trouble. People were like, well, what the fuck? But, the
Yeah,
problem
he
is,
has to
like,
give all
Robert
that money back.
Rauschenberg did it over 70 years ago already. So, and everyone called that a scam then. So it's not any...
But see, is that better than a banana and duct tape against a wall?
Wait, Roxy's
That was
got a
eaten by
question. Does
somebody.
The
anybody-
that's
banana and
artisan
duct tape
back.
seemed kind of quite old news to me as well. I mean, that was sort of thing Damien Hirst was... Oh, there was the pile of bricks at the Tate in the late 70s, early 80s. The duct taping the banana is even more temporary, I suppose. At least the pile of bricks was supposed to last.
Well, there's also like temporary installations that stay for forever. Like Keith Haring did a mural at Art Center, right? But because it was Keith Haring that did the mural, they never painted over it. But he only painted it with the understanding that it would be painted over at one point. Yeah.
Well,
Like Egyptian to history, we follow the guest, sort of.
I'm trying to tell Roxy what the show is about. He's wondering if it's a trap. Roxy, it is a trap. Did you see Return of the what was the Empire Strikes Back, or what was the one where the fish thing goes? It's a trap.
Roxy, there's literally like one person watching it.
I want to say that is Return of the Jedi.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know when that giant gold, that brown goldfish says?
Oh,
it's a
Admiral
trap?
Akbar. You're talking about Admiral Akbar.
Yes,
going,
Admiral
"It's a trap."
Akbar.
It's a
It's
trap. It's definitely
That's one of the
a
best
trap.
bits in the whole movie.
We have a lot of what did you say here? We've trapped a lot of, and I want to quote you here, worldwide musicians on this show. Some of them are in my crawl space. Don't Check My Crawl Space is my new single that's coming out.
Don't check my crawl space.
Yeah, it's kind of a country ditty, It's about girlfriends of the past and a former guest on this show. Don't check my crawl space. That'd be a bad place to look, and there's no reason to do it, so don't check my crawl space.
On
That's how
that
it goes.
note, I'm watching They Live for the second time. We had to pause it halfway through the movie last night because Annabelle came in. But
They Live? The John Carpenter?
yeah,
Dude, I bet that movie really holds up.
Well,
It really does. Yeah, I saw it not long ago. Yeah.
it holds up really well, and don't forget the glasses that he used were in a crawl space under
really?
the stairs.
I totally
Like in a church or something. I can't remember where he finds them.
at the very beginning.
But at the beginning, the opening scenes, the first 10 minutes are like downtown San Francisco, Oakland.
Is that where he is?
I don't know where. No, he was somewhere
They
down
never
in LA, I think.
say
sort of.
what
Yeah.
city he's in.
I-
It seems like
Yeah.
LA. I mean,
Yeah.
It's interesting because in the very beginning, he's homeless and he goes to this homeless camp and he's hanging out with Keith David, and there's a preacher that's talking about, they're already here and they're making you all asleep and stuff like that. Well, there's a television broadcast and they keep breaking into the television broadcast. But the preacher is saying the same words as a television broadcast. So that gets him thinking, well, what's the preacher up to? So he follows the preacher, and they rush him into this church. And that's where the resistance is building these sunglasses to try and wake people. to the fact that There's aliens that have already taken over the planet.
I don't get it. The preacher is saying the same stuff that the network news dude is saying?
No, not the network news. No, the resistance keeps breaking into the signal.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, they're trying to wake people up, right? But the signal is one of the things that keeps them asleep, right? And so when they go in and they Says, are we guys libertarians? Have we ever canvassed for Greenpeace? This likening fly on the wall. Wait, there's some reason you guys are live streaming this. Is it all good? I'm going to get back recording. I have PTSD from this group therapy. No worries. Bye, Roxy.
Bye, Roxy. Thanks
Yeah.
for stopping in. Sorry to only get your life story half right, or maybe 10% right.
No,
Kind of like Slice with 10% real juice.
well, I didn't know who he was, so I guess it was my fault for asking.
No. It was me and Chuck, because we were just like, we'll
Well-
just half speculate on people. I like to do that.
We're not a very audience-focused show. I mean, I've been told that, like, you know, shows that are popular are ones that, like, act like they have an audience and respond to the audience.
Yeah, I've
They're
all
like,
right.
we don't even respond to each other. Well,
Yes, let's get
the
to that
audience,
point.
I mean, that's a step further.
yeah. So going back to They Live, they absolutely destroy the resistance. Right? They come in guns blazing.
At the
All
beginning.
the cops, like, they arrest everybody, probably killed them. Right? And they're out of there.
This
right?
happens at the beginning.
This
of the
happens
movie?
at the very beginning of the movie,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Well, he remembered from hitting this crawl space that there was one of these boxes of sunglasses hidden in the crawl space, and so they didn't get it. And so he takes the sunglasses because he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And then by the trash can, that's when he puts on the sunglasses because he's like, "This is bullshit." He throws the sunglasses in the trash can, thinking that they're trash, and then walks out on the street and he's like, obey, consume, procreate."
Well, that's basically what they're saying, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, that's
Reality.
that's the social commentary.
I mean,
Yeah, it's good.
who was the guy that did Andre the Giant, the Obey things with Andre the Giant, and
Shepherd Fairy.
Who is it?
Yeah,
Shepherd Fairy.
Yeah.
Shepherd Fairy. Yeah.
I mean, that was a little
and
bit
he got
surreal.
that from They Live. Yeah,
That was a
he
little
got
bit
the whole
surreal when
obey
it was
thing.
going on, because, you know, whatever that was, like 25 years ago in San Francisco, this stuff started cropping up, and I had no idea who he was. I wasn't following any of the street art, you know, at the time. But
Yeah.
then there'd be these big obeys everywhere, and I had
Yeah.
already seen They Live, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny because I do think we're subjected to a lot of propaganda, and most people don't even recognize it as that. And that's why it's effective, I think, because you don't recognize it as propaganda, so you never think to push back on it.
I think
If you're not
that
hypnotizing yourself, somebody else is hypnotizing you.
I think it's important to realize that everybody has an agenda, right? You know, like, you're watching the news, they have an agenda. It used to be to tell the news, but after the 1980s, when they got rid of the, you had to, like, be truthful on the news, like, law, it became an entertainment venue.
What? There was
And
a law?
Oh yeah. Let me look.
Get
it up.
out of here.
I
Get outta
shall be
here.
Human hyperlink.
You know, what I
Yeah,
remember-
that is true. Yeah, there was so that Fox News and that could start, and then that started the world of
well,
biased
Fox
media.
News,
Thanks, Rupert Murdoch.
what we
Tiring
consider
happy.
Fox News is not what Fox News doesn't consider a lot of that news. They consider it part of their entertainment, but it's very confusing. Like
But it's been around before, though. I mean, there was always that blowhard right-wing radio. It was very prevalent.
It was called the FCC Fairness Doctrine. It was Federal Communications Commission, introduced in 1949, was a policy that required the holders of broadcast licenses both to present controversial issues of public importance and to do so in a manner that fairly reflected different viewpoints. In 1987, the FCC abolished the Fairness Doctrine, underrated, by the way, prompting some to urge its reintroduction through either commission policy or congressional legislation. However, later, the FCC removed the rule that implemented the policy from the Federal Register in August 2011. The Fairness Doctrine had two basic elements. It required broadcasters to devote some of their airtime to discussing controversial matters of public interest and to air contrasting views regarding those matters. Stations were given wide latitude as to how to provide contrasting views. It could be done through news segments, public affairs shows, or editorials. The doctrine did not require equal time for opposing views, but required that contrasting viewpoints be presented. The demise of this FCC rule has been cited as contributing factor to the rising level of party polarization in the United States. It's allowed basically channels like Fox News to not have to talk about other viewpoints but their own.
Well, it's also
so
that and the case about the primary system. Yeah.
The thing that got my attention was law. It's not a law. It's a doctrine, which to me is just like policy, and you can break it. You can't drag somebody into court for breaking doctrine.
But they abolished it. You know, they got rid of the doctrine,
things definitely
which
have gone
everybody was
sideways.
adhering to.
I mean, the other thing is news never used to be a moneymaker. It used to be kind of a loss leader. It used to break even. And now there's a lot more
now
money
news
in
is
it.
profitable.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a problem, like medicine, like make it profitable. Then sanity goes out the window.
You know, it used to be that news organizations were held, well, it's still the case that they're held by much larger corporations, and they didn't think that they needed to make the money in the news area. And now they're still owned by large corporations, and there's even fewer of them, and they do make money.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I just feel like they're more like propaganda channels. They're, you know, it's like they've always served the rich to a degree or one degree or another.
Yeah. Well, here's it. Rather than moaning about like the crappy system that we have, and we can all agree that it's pretty crappy, I prefer to talk about what good solutions do we have for doing things more in a better way.
Washboard abs can help a lot, and if we had more washboard abs, I think we could deal with the news better.
You think washboard abs? That's where it's at.
That's the solution for sure. Chuck's helping out right now. Thanks, Chuck. You made the world.
I'm
better.
enjoying this. She just passed away. She was a famous female bodybuilder, but I was unaware of her name, and I still didn't remember it. But
it's quite the eulogy. Thank you.
You guys are not doing very good at like representing people today.
Yesterday
I forgot her name.
But yesterday we were so good. We were pros yesterday. But today we're just having an off day.
What's her name? I think I hadn't heard her name before. She was,
I think
there
that's
was a number of pictures of her. She was doing it in the 70s when Arnold was getting all the fame.
Regina Schwarzenegger?
No.
Lillian Schwarzenegger. Sally Schwarzenegger.
I don't think that's it either.
Beatrice Ferrigno.
Let's see if any of these pictures have got some info on them.
So she was like a what's it called? A barrier breaking like female. She broke the female bodybuilding barrier.
Yes. I'll find out for you. All right, come on.
Yeah, I can't go. I mean, I guess I could Google search for female bodybuilder.
Lisa Lyon.
Yeah.
Died at 70. Trailblazing female bodybuilder Lisa Lyon is reportedly dead at the age of 70 after a battle with stomach cancer.
Reportedly dead.
The Los Angeles native died Friday at home in San Fernando Valley, California, less than a week after they reported she had been transferred to hospice care.
Well, that's a weird thing to say, reportedly dead. It sounds like, they're not sure, but somebody reported that she was.
Well, all right, this was the
Don't they usually just say has died?
Okay, well, the U.S. Sun says dead at 70. It's not really. It's sort of the Daily Mail. No, that's not even about her.
Maybe they do things different in that newspaper that you're reading from.
Well, it's the New York News, New York Daily News. So
I don't know anything about that. Do they have any?
They're citing TMZ as one of their sources.
Okay, well that explains something. I think.
So that's why I think they're saying TMZ said it. So we're not staking our reputation on that.
Reportedly. But
it's probably an early story, but I'm afraid that's the sort of story that's not going to hang around very long these days.
If she's 70 and she's in hospice and had stomach cancer, if she's not dead and they're wrong, I mean, they're probably not wrong by much. They're probably not wrong by more than like a couple weeks. So I think there should be like reports of death based on estimates, and then you follow up in like a month or two. Like you go, hey, we think that they're going to die tomorrow, so we're just going to call it, and then we'll check back in a month and see how things are going.
The Amazing Jonathan, they kind of did that. You know, he announced like I'm gonna
Amazing
die in a
Jonathan.
few weeks, and then 4 years later,
Who is
he's
who is
still
this
smoking
guy?
meth.
Who is this guy? Is he a reality
The
TV
Amazing
star?
Jonathan.
No, the Amazing
That's
Jonathan
pretty
was
amazing.
a
Get away with that.
comedian magician
Oh,
that was very popular
alright.
in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And
The
so
Amazing
he
Jonathan.
would do comedy clubs and stuff, and he'd do his magic acts. And so it's a magic act, but it's a comedic magic act. And so
Was he like what's the thing that like people would like was like if I were to know like recognize him, would it be from a movie or Saturday Night Live or some bit he
probably
did, or-
like Tonight Show and stuff
Oh,
like that, because he was a
okay.
touring comic.
Then I might have seen him on the
Yeah.
Tonight Show. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I know he was on the Tonight Show a couple times. Like I saw him on there.
I saw that show a little bit while it was still on air.
What, the
Yeah.
Tonight Show? It's still on.
With Johnny Carson.
I was talking about Johnny Carson.
Oh, Johnny
Is that
Carson.
what you're talking about?
Well, I was just talking about in general. I think it was after Leno took over that I saw the Amazing Jonathan.
Now they say he was really good, like for 5 minutes. Like he could talk to anybody for 5 minutes, but after that, he didn't really have very much to say for himself.
Wait, who
What,
was
the Amazing Jonathan?
Johnny Carson. No, Johnny Carson.
I thought he was pretty charming, but
He's really charming for like 5 minutes, and but then beyond that, he didn't have much to say or want to say much to anybody.
Damn, we're revising all kinds of people's lives today.
Well, I think that's just the truth of Johnny Carson. He was an interesting guy. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. I mean,
I don't
Hold
know.
on, where's the?
He knew comedy.
yeah.
He
Didn't like. He wouldn't do other things. Like he wouldn't. He just sort of stuck to what he knew.
He was a magician too,
Yeah.
and a magician and a comic, and a host, and a amateur spelunker. I just made that up. If I hadn't said I made it up, would you have believed it?
Probably not.
I would believe pretty much anything. But
He was a champion cornhusker. Would you believe that?
I'm not one of those people. If you tell me, I'll probably believe it. I don't know. I used to be way more gullible, and then I met somebody who was a total bullshitter, and then I.
Oh, who was it? Drop that name.
Drop
it.
Well,
We'll bring up a Google picture of him.
this is back in Basingstoke.
Nah.
Then I became a bit more skeptical.
I
slowly learned to
haven't
like not
known,
just take everything as.
Luckily I haven't known too many like pathological liars, or if I do know them, I make it a point of knowing them a lot less after I figure out that they're lying to me constantly.
Well, there's a difference between there's a bullshitter who'll sort of bullshit you a lot. They're not necessarily like that. Yeah, then a pathological liar is just like somebody who's just a menace.
But bullshit is like lies, though, isn't it?
Well, sort of, but they're sort of pulling your leg or winding you up.
I have a book written by a Harvard professor called On Bullshit that has this very discussion.
It says like
what does
bullshit is
Harvard
not
professor
lying.
say then?
Well, the Harvard professor said that bullshitting probably it originated from people trying to like keep face, about things like, it's like, oh yeah, I totally shucked, 400 plants today or whatever it was back when we were an agrarian people. And that there has been reports of people basically being like, there's bullshitting and then there's bullshit, right? So bullshit is it's untrue. It's just a direct lie. Like, somebody is trying to pull one fast over on you and you can see it and you're just like, that's bullshit, right? But bullshitting is
sometimes
like,
you're in a stressful situation and you just sort of lie. That happened to me once where I just sort of lied for no reason.
Yeah, well, and bullshitting, on the other hand, so both parties can be aware that both parties are lying and they continue to do it, right? And so bullshitting might be two people who are, talking about doing a bank robbery, but they don't really mean doing a bank robbery. And they're like, oh yeah, we could go up there and pull up our car and rush in and get all the money. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. They're not being truthful. They're bullshitting. And so he talks about how there is a spectrum between this in people's conversations, between like the understanding that what is coming towards you is untruthful and you accept it, versus what is coming towards you that is untruthful that you don't accept. and it's just a fascinating discussion going back and forth.
I'm gonna call bullshit on this author.
You want me to grab the book?
No, I believe you.
will. I'll grab the book.
I believe you. It reminds me of like, weren't we talking about this last week? Like saving face in like Asian countries.
Yeah.
Sorry, does that make me racist? I hope it doesn't. If it does, we'll have to delete this live clip that I just made.
Oh no.
Yeah, didn't we have a discussion about a week ago
saving
about
face?
Yeah, like you said, like
Yes, we were talking with our guest.
saving
She had spent
face.
some time in China, and yeah, we didn't really get very far into that.
Oh right, our Canadian.
Yeah, we have to have Robin back. She was a great guest.
Yes,
And she lives right above where I used to live. I used to live in Michigan, and she's in the colder part of the hemisphere, just directly above it.
Yes.
I didn't get any colder than Michigan.
A
but,
different latitude.
Oh, you
Same
northern
longitude.
hemispherist!
yes, that's right.
Like, well, if you lived in Australia, maybe that's the top of the world. Who says that the South Pole is the top and the North Pole is the bottom?
Everybody
That
knows.
is northern hemispherism at its most extreme.
I'm just recognizing the facts that.
I'm
that's
an
how my map
equatorialist. I think we need to melt the ice crust as quickly as possible in order to cause crust displacement and put all the continents back where they're supposed to be. They've rediscovered now this continent below New Zealand. So, we'll rise Lemuria or Atlantis or whatever we're calling that continent. Zealandia. We'll rise that out the ocean.
Bless you.
The Arctic will now be... The Antarctic will now be a desert.
I'm gonna call you up. What's that word for the?
And the USA will be buried under a thick polar ice crust.
What Chuck is doing right now is an example of bullshitting us.
Yes. What is that thing called? That big
That's not
landmass?
bullshit. That's serious. That's serious.
What's
theory.
the
Pangea, yeah.
Who's that
You're a
guy?
Pangeist.
That guy he's got a new show on Netflix. He's quite good. He talks about the chariots. He's like the new Chariots of the Gods guy. He wasn't the original Chariots of the Gods guy.
Oh, the aliens, dude.
Yeah, yes, not the aliens.
Yeah,
No. He seems like more like he's a sort of British, professory type, but he's not really.
British professory type actor.
Oh my god, he wrote like this whole thing, crust displacement. Charlton Heston came on and presented it on telly as well, like a very important special. Charlton Heston.
That definitely gives it some weight. Charlton Heston. I mean, he's the voice of Moses. How can you help
I
but
read
not take
it.
what he says
Oh,
seriously.
yeah, no, it gives it a lot of weight. And Charlton Heston was like, oh well, yeah, it was one of the last times I saw him do anything really.
Well, I mean, he's probably about 90, right?
Yeah.
If I was Charlton Heston, I'd probably be keeping out of the public eye. I'd be like, it's not worth it.
Charlton Heston passed away several years ago.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
then
This was
older
in the
than 90.
90s. This was back in the 90s. This was his book in the 90s. Was going on about all this stuff. Now he's back again with the current one, but it's still basically the same theory.
Wait. Are you saying Charlton Heston is back again?
No. Oh god, I'm going to look this guy up.
We need to fact check you, Chuck.
I'm going to put like crust displacement theory guy.
Crust displacement theory guy.
Okay, so what is this theory? Like, I'll take it seriously this time. The idea is that
Okay.
what
Oh, well,
about
okay. Goes back to Charles Hapgood, but the current guy is oh god, come on. Okay, not him.
crust displacement?
Aliens, South America.
Uh-oh.
Ray's map. Not ancient aliens. Oh, go away. It's all ancient aliens. But he's the original ancient aliens guy.
And what do the ancient aliens do? That they seed the
Giorgio.
species, or do they build?
The theory of ancient aliens is that we, as humans, had no innovation in the past, that all of our innovation was handed to us by ancient aliens.
Oh, it's like the Terminator thing, kind of.
Yeah. It's like it's such a dumb theory, and I think it diminishes the ingenuity of ancient man.
So they're just saying we were just hanging out like hunter-gatherers, and then this alien species gave us this technology, which we reverse engineered and came up with all this cool stuff. Is that the idea?
Kind of like for example, in Aztec and Mayan ruins and stuff, the rocks are so tight together that you can't even get a sheet of paper through, right? Well, for years and years and years, they're saying like, oh yeah, these must have been put together by machines. There's no way ancient man could do it and stuff like that. But archaeologists have
Graham
determined,
Hancock. Sorry.
yeah, not Charlton Heston.
Graham Hancock is the writer.
But studies have confirmed that these rocks aren't rocks; they're early cement, and so that's why they're so tight with each other, is because they were actually poured into place.
But if you're going to make the argument for like aliens giving us technology, for me at least, you're going to have to make a better argument than the stones fit really tight.
Yeah, that is one of Graham Hancock's big things, was that one. Yes, Graham, that was it. That's what he was going on about 20 years ago, was that.
Yeah.
But also the other thing I realized about those is they're actually quite thin. They look like they're gigantic blocks, but they're more like big thin sheets or like thin rocks. So they look like, they'd be massively heavy, but they're not really. They're more like cladding.
Another argument from Chariots of the Gods is that there are depictions of UFOs in ancient art and in Christian art of the Dark Ages. And so it's all these pictures where it could kind of be a UFO, maybe. And it's like, like Mary's floating in the sky in this like oval shaped thing.
It's more likely that aliens visit us than not. It's more likely they're out there than not. Let's just face fact, folks.
I mean, I just say to myself,
I totally believe that we're visited and stuff, but I don't think that they gave us technology. I think ancient man came up with our own damn technology. It's like ancient man knew how to do things like move lake water hundreds of miles with aqueducts.
There's a fossil record.
Roman man was able to do that.
Yeah, but there's a fossil record of a lot of this stuff in the evolution. It's not like there's no fossil record of tools, and then one year the aliens show up and suddenly there's all these fossil records of tools.
Like I said, archaeology totally debunks this. This theory.
There's no like.
I think you guys need to read this book, Dianetics, that I read.
No,
that'll give you a different perspective.
No.
Chuck's messing with us now. It's not bullshit. It's messing. He's simply messing.
No, that's the trouble. Is once you've been bullshitted, then you become a bullshitter. He is
messing with us.
It is yet another example of bullshitting.
No, he's not, because bullshitting is like he's messing with us. That's different. Like
messing with someone is bullshitting.
Well, bullshit has a very wide definition.
It does have a very wide definition.
That's why it's a pretty thick.
There's good bullshit and bad bullshit. Sometimes people need a bit of bullshit.
It's a good book because it defines nothing.
Well,
without bullshit, what would we be?
But
it's an interesting argument about basically that man, by being able to like bullshit, by being able to accept both the concept of what's real and then the concept of what's unreal that's being directed at you, that's either bullshit or bullshitting, right? The fact that man can do that is one of the reasons why we have higher brain function than other animals.
I mean,
you don't think animals can bullshit us? I bet you if you go on the internet, you'll find 20 examples of how animals bullshitting people.
Animals' idea of bullshit is they charge you and see if you run, and then they don't actually make it to you. They bluff.
Yeah,
animals play. Animals do play, and bullshit's a form of play.
Yeah,
or bluffing,
or can be.
When you said like these, very nasty. That there's pictures of these aliens or things in the sky. I'm like, all that proves to me is that humans have an imagination. I mean, look at all the crazy shit we imagine today. If you came back and you didn't know anything about today, and you came back 1,000 years and you looked at the stuff that we had made and put online in our artwork, you could imagine all kinds of crazy stuff. You could imagine that we knew how to do portal travel, that we knew how to live forever, and I mean.
Well, I have a theory that once it's happened in fiction, it might as well have happened in reality.
That's your theory?
Yeah.
And you're not going to elaborate?
Well, I just think it speaks for itself. I mean, if it's happened in fiction, then it's happened in people's imaginations, then it might as well have happened in reality. Because like Alan Moore says, it's like what happens in our imaginations, what happens in reality, Well,
I mean, okay, so let's
the things that happen in our imaginations we can be more sure about.
So let's talk philosophy for a second, right? Reality is an accepted truth amongst many people, right?
Well,
Well,
I mean, for a
no,
long
that's the
time.
problem. Though, no, we all live in our own reality bubbles, and they're affected by the reality bubbles of all the reality around us.
But that's
And,
kind of like
quantum physics says, it's sort of disturbed. It's a shared reality. So if you
Yeah.
start believing that the Earth is flat, it might start becoming flat.
Yeah, that's one of those perceptions is reality things where, like, if everyone thinks the Earth is flat, which they did at some point, or everybody thinks this or that, which a lot of people did,
You get
then
burned if you said
then it's
anything different. If somebody
true.
came along and said the world is round, sorry, fuck you.
Yeah, I would just say that,
they'd
like,
burn you at the stake.
some of man's reality is just a group hallucination. It's like we're all hallucinating the same thing. We're all wrong about the same thing. I don't get the flat earther thing at all, though. Sorry to bring that up, but I know we've talked about
I got very
before,
annoyed
but
with them, but lately I'm like feeling it all.
I just
Where
don't
it stems
understand.
from is distrust of government and government institutions like schools. And that's where it started.
Well, I mean, I
Yes, it
understand
starts with
that.
the mistrust of
I
schools and
understand that,
government,
but I think about the economics of that, the argument, the flat Earth argument, just the economics of it, follow the money, and it makes zero sense. Did I tell you
Money?
that? Did I
money?
tell you?
Where's the money in around? I guess all right.
Well, where's the money in a flat Earth? So, yeah.
Well,
money in a
it's
flat
like
Earth? Because
there's people like flat Earth. People will buy flat Earth.
Or yeah.
merchandise.
No, you're right. It's a better question to say where's the money in a round Earth? Because if we're all wrong about that, then they've been lying to us for hundreds of years. They printed up all this. There's this very expensive campaign, both in terms of money and in terms of human time, to convince everybody that the Earth is round. To what ends? Like, how does this make sense? Like, conspiracies where you can follow the money, I'm a lot more interested in because
it keeps you going in certain directions, right? Because otherwise you'd say, well, I want to go over here, but there's probably whole parts of the world that the rich have got fenced off for their own private use.
Well, I mean, that is
yeah, it's
probably
called Malibu.
Yeah, there's probably
That
like
is
a whole
part of the
compound, but
argument.
Malibu you can drive right through it, so that's not really good enough. That's only good for the regular rich, the ultra rich.
It depends on what your
They've
car
got their
is.
whole continent,
If you're-
and they
if you're
tell you that the
driving
world
through
is round. They say, "Oh, don't go that
if
way
you're
to go to
driving through
China."
Malibu
They
with
say,
a
"If you want to go
shitty
to
car,
China, you
they
have to
pull you
fly
over.
this way."
But it doesn't matter whether the Earth is flat or round. You can still have secret places on it. What difference does the shape mean? The Earth could be a rhombozoid, and you could still have secret places for the rich, or it could be a hula hoop, and there could still be. So whether it's round or whether it's flat, how does that help you out in concealing some secret place where the rich people go?
Yeah, no, you're right. I've said too
It's on
much.
the
I'm
other
not saying,
side
I'm
of
not
the
saying
ice
anymore. I'm not
wall.
giving any more away.
Okay, he's not giving any more away. God, I thought we were going to get all kinds of useful information out of. I thought we were going to crack this round Earth thing with Chuck, but we're not going to today. I'm sorry, viewers. If you're a
afraid,
viewer
yeah.
watching us right now and you're disappointed about the way this has ended, please comment in the comment thing.
Just ask yourself which are the richest countries in the world, and which ones are the most pro the world being round.
Luxembourg. Luxembourg's been talking about the round world like crazy for a while.
Well,
They
what
can't
about
get enough of this
Liechtenstein?
round planet.
How do you become a citizen of Liechtenstein?
Oh,
That's what I
wait,
want to know.
did I tell you I got banned by a flat earther?
No,
Did I tell you that story?
no.
Okay.
So, I'm on this thread.
Was it over COVID vaccine?
No, it was over. I just told you what it was about. Yeah, Chuck, I got banned by a round earther because of nothing that had a flat earther.
I may think the Earth is flat, but I don't.
Let me just tell you the story. So
Sorry.
this guy had gone so far as to say, I'm in this geographic location and I'm looking across this body of water, and over on the other side there's a building, and we know the height of the building, and I shouldn't be able to see it if the Earth is curved, right? But I can see it, and here I am with my camera looking across this body of water. And so because he gave his location, the height of the other building, and the body of water, I could find it on Google Maps. And I just found out the curvature of the Earth, and with some 7th grade math, I showed why he should be seeing it, right? And I laid it out in about a paragraph. It was very concise, right?
Yeah.
So you got banned for being a know-it-all.
So then I didn't think anything of it, and I went back to my conspiracy thread. A month passes, and one of the guys puts in another link about, turns out it was from the same author. So I'm just like, oh God, I usually don't waste my time on this stuff, but let's see what this guy's saying now. So I click on it, and he totally banned me.
Huh.
Yeah. I tell you, it's a big red flag when the second that you challenge people, they ban you or censor you. And it's happened to me a couple times now, where like there will be no discussion about whatever this is, you know. Like they will not be challenged with these things like math.
Well, it depends where you're trying to challenge them. Like Tina makes a good point. There's like Facebook's not the place.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Facebook, but it was someplace like that. But I would think that a person that's trying to convince the world with like actual evidence that if he's trying to convince people that the Earth is flat and he's got an argument he's putting out there, you would think that he'd be receptive to a counter argument, you know, using the same stuff he was using in his argument. I don't know if he did his math wrong or what the deal is. It's not that hard to figure out because there's kind of an accepted curvature of the Earth, and then there's this trigonometry thing, and and then you just figure out what would be visible, you know, after so many miles. Also, you know, if you've ever been up in a plane, you can see the curvature of the Earth if the plane gets pretty high. So
planes are for privilege, only for privileged people.
I know when I'm up there with my elite friends, my elite self and my elite friends, when we're up there in that plane, checking out the curvature of the Earth, looking down at all those flat Earth.
Yeah, you're looking down at all the flat Earthers. That's what they hate most of all. They know you're up there looking down.
Looking down at them while I travel my elite curved Earth, my curved flying plane. I hate it.
Well, you know, keeps you honest.
Curved Earth,
Yeah.
flat Earth.
Versus, you know, like,
yeah. But I loved your idea the idea you found for a reality TV show where sort of a bunch of flat earthers set off to find the edge of the world.
yes.
That would be like that would be a very long running show because it would like it's basically like The Walking Dead. It's a show that would never have an end.
Yeah, I guess.
Could be like the sailing flats. They just sail and sail and sail. Could be called like what's that surf movie? Forever Summer.
Oh, the Endless Summer, yeah.
Endless Summer.
Be like endless flat Earth search.
Yeah, yeah. You'd call it the endless.
But
searching for the abyss or something.
You know, they'd probably come up with a theory that like whoever's maintaining the round Earth theory, that they had somehow manipulated the currents and were turning them in a big circle, as opposed to they were going around a globe. They'd probably have some counter argument.
Well, I mean, all right. It keeps the world interesting. It might be flat. You never know. They could be right. There's always a chance.
That's the other thing. I don't care. Like, so that's the other thing. I don't care if the Earth is flat or round. It's not going to change a thing about my life.
I got you. You got me?
Oh.
What's up, Annabelle?
Talkative.
Yes. She just got home from the gym.
Is she?
Yes. So.
Does she have gym friends?
No, there's kid care at the gym. And so Ian, in the evenings to, give us some quiet time, takes her to the gym and drops her off at kid care, and then he goes to the gym.
So I'm thinking she could have met some friends in the kid care. Like if it's a regular thing, maybe the same kids would be in there.
Yeah, she's got friends there.
Yeah.
Oh, she was playing games at the gym, like I found you and stuff. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they had something like that at IKEA here. Or am I imagining that? It's like you drop off your kid and then you go buy all your IKEA furniture. Yeah, maybe Naomi was in there at one point.
The IKEA.
What's amazing is how communicative they are. They can really tell you so much. I mean, it's like funny. I was watching about this video I had where I was sitting with Sam and like talking to the table, and he was sort of babbling away, and I didn't really think anything. But when I watched it, I suddenly realised, oh no, look, he's saying all this stuff, and I just wasn't really able to understand it. Yeah.
Also, they live. I I discovered with Naomi, she was listening to a lot of stuff where like she did not look like she was paying attention at all, and she was.
Right.
And like a month later, she'd tell me what I said, and I'd be like,
yeah, right. Yeah, they do that. Like, or they'll like Sam would always argue very vociferously against me about stuff, but then later he would be sort of doing it, or like I realised he actually was doing what I asked.
oh.
You know, it's just like, you know, sometimes you got to go through the motions of disagreeing with you.
Yeah, it's a good muscle to exercise.
If they say no to you, they'll say no to drugs. That's what I heard.
If they say no to you, they'll say no to drugs.
That should be a new campaign. My kid's disagreeing with me right now, and that makes me happy because they won't do drugs later.
Yeah, I don't know if that was very true.
No, I you know, in the case of like my family growing up and stuff, my brother did drugs by saying no to my parents. You know, he's like, no, I'm gonna go do drugs.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm gonna get. I know, that's where the theory falls apart a bit, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the theory kind of falls apart a little bit. Yeah.
Yes to drugs is no to dad. I like it.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, I was taking this.
Allegedly.
Makes me. Just reminds me of how lucky I feel to have the daughter that I have, which I can only take partial credit for because there's a bit
You're
of
a bit lucky there, I think. Yeah.
There's a bit of a genetic roll of the dice that I can't take any responsibility for.
I remember you said, like, before, I think this was before you had a kid was on the way. You would say, if I ever had a kid, but I had a kid. And you would say to me, if I ever had a kid, every time I drove past McDonald's, I'd punch them in the face. So
did I say that? Did I say that, or did you say that?
No, you said that. And you said it on several occasions. I don't remember you saying it after you became a parent, but you did.
Yeah, and you know what? Now Naomi does not like McDonald's, and she's better for it. Okay, Chuck?
Just Pavlovian. Just punch her in the face.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, no, I was pretty strict with food for a while. I have a different perspective on food than most parents do, which is why so many kids are fat. Just saying.
Oops.
What, did I get us banned?
Allegedly.
Well, no,
allegedly.
I totally agree with you. Like,
not allegedly fat. There's compared to when I was a kid, the fatness rates, which is the proper term to use, it's off the charts.
You mean the obesity rates?
I like fatness.
Fatness?
I think fat sounds kind of fun sometimes, but obesity sounds like it sounds like a serious medical condition, but fat sounds like, you could have fun with it. Like you could be like a fat like rapper or a chubby rascal kid with a great sense of humor, but obesity just sounds like something that's going to take years off your life. So I like fat.
But it is going to take years off your life.
Yeah, but let's just call it fat because it sounds like a fun way to take years off your life.
Well, maybe it's due for a rebrand. You're probably right. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I like it. Can you forge Graham Hancock's signature on there?
No. No, I won't do that.
Yeah.
This one's going a bit.
All these poor kids these days. When I was a kid growing up, and I don't know, you guys can tell your own stories, but there was like one kid that was overweight in our class, and he wasn't really fat. He just had some extra pounds on him, and that was it, And now it's like half the class is like that.
Where though? Like not in San Francisco.
San Francisco is a pretty thin city. So is
Denver.
Denver is very thin, but when I lived in Minnesota, it was very fat. There was a lot of overweight people there. And it's because, they're not active over the winter. They're inside reading books and watching TV.
You can't say that. What?
Well,
You make it sound like David Attenborough.
I mean, there's
the difference
there's
is
not a lot of
winter.
gyms in Minneapolis.
The lack of gyms and You know,
They don't need to be active in the winter. That's the whole point of piling on the pounds, so that in winter you stay nice and warm.
If you go back 50 years ago to Minnesota, you'll see that they had warm winters and lots of gyms, but all of that's changed in the last 50 years. All the gyms went away from the 1950s, and now the winters are cold.
How did that happen?
Consequently, everyone's fat.
How did that happen? All right.
Well,
All right. I drew 2 drawings. I did Ancient Aliens, and then I did comic books.
I like it. I like them.
Ooh.
And I forged Graham Hancock's signature on that one.
Wow. Amber, you're really fast.
I like the overlay
Well, what made me fast was Philo. Was doing Philo for years.
Okay.
And
All right, then, but you've been taking forever over Captain T. Speeding up on Captain T.
Well, there's a big difference between drawing out of your head and then drawing like a world that you've already, I don't know. It's all out of my head. But it's these are just doodles, you know? These are different.
I don't know, but they're pretty good though. I mean, yeah, I don't
like
know.
the
I mean, this
overlay
part
you
what
had.
Chris and I were talking about is like, you know, because we've been this sort of being really painstaking, and then like, you know, then you do a doodle, and then that's just as good, or almost as good. I don't know.
Painstaking.
Although the other day I found something really detailed I'd done that I'd sort of abandoned. I was like, oh wow, that was really good. Why, you know, maybe I should be sort of focusing more on detail. Sometimes you just got to stick with it a while. I don't know.
I feel like I wasted a lot of time being a perfectionist, which is part of my like personality disorder. And I found that I make just as good or better work by just kind of like staying. This is just me personally, and so I've been like transitioning out of that for like 10 years.
Well, it's interesting. It's one of those things. I think as an artist, you go back and forth. But yeah, I mean, so I'm kind of amazed how quickly you did those things.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, like developing the judgment to say this is worth spending a lot of time on, and this just isn't, and figuring out what the difference is between those two, and then just like applying it. Like some stuff, it really does make a lot of sense to spend lots of time on, and other stuff, absolutely not. And knowing that the difference between the two.
Well, I suppose that's it. I spend a lot of time on things that have really no value to spend time.
Well, I don't know. Like for me, I'm never happy with doodles because they always feel unfinished to me, right? You know, because it's just something quickly I put down. But I guess with Captain T, it feels done when I get to that point.
Yeah, well, you know when he feels done. I mean, that's all at the end of the day.
Well, you know what the music means, folks. That's an end of another, whatever we call this show.
Is that the end of the show? We're being very tight on timing.
Don't you hear the music?
It's been an hour.
Are we just doing 1 hour?
Oh.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Okay. I thought we were still doing like a night.
My daughter's going to be very noisy for the rest of it if we go
All right.
long.
Okay. Well, I guess we're just an hour then. All right. I didn't really finish. I keep doing this where I don't quite finish my drawing.
Really? You didn't finish? I did 2 drawings, Chuck.
Damn. Amber's 100% more productive than you.
We were going at such a
Amber, you're getting
pace.
the blue ribbon for today's show.
No, but
Chuck, you're getting the
seriously,
brown one.
I got fast because of Philo.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to draw a
that
finished comic page in an hour.
Is Fido like Adderall? Or is it
No,
a little different?
Philo is the show that I did in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
like-
the Colin comic book show I did.
You were doing like vast amounts of Philo.
Yeah, vast amounts of Philo.
That was like what killed John Belushi.
I used to have a script for that in college. It helped me study for exams and focus.
Oh yeah, you get a proper script.
Yeah.
That's good. That's the way to go, Amber. Just
Philo
don't be.
Cynical. It was Philo Cotton. Cotton.
Philo Cotton.
Yeah. No, I mean it was a phyloethamine. The phyloethamine really helped me study for stuff.
The phyloethamine.
The phyloethamine.
Yeah, no, Philo was named after Philo Farnsworth, the inventor of television. And so he was a green guy with little antenna, and he was on TV. So
Philo was a farmer, right?
Philo Farnsworth,
Yeah.
the
What?
creator.
The guy that invented TV, wasn't he a farmer? I think I heard this story where he was plowing the crops and he got this idea of like doing the interlacing the fields for TV, like how to have it draw the horizontal lines from plowing the field.
Oh.
Or am I completely making this up? Damn it.
I've never heard that story, but it doesn't mean it's not true.
It might mean it though. I might be imagining.
I find it hard to believe he was a farmer and also an
Damn it.
electrophysicist.
All right, who's going to do our fact checking? Is Roxy still here? Roxy, can you fact check?
Fine. I will fact check.
Do this. I mean, Roxy, do the fact check, please.
Yeah.
Roxy's a really slow fact checker. He's not even responding.
Wait, is Roxy still
Oh
here?
no, he left a long time ago.
Well.
Okay, Philo Farnsworth, biography. Born August 19th, 1906.
That's what I said.
Died 1971, Salt Lake City, Utah. American inventor who developed the first all-electronic television system. Farnsworth was a technical prodigy from an early age. An avid reader of science magazines as a teenager, he became interested in the problem of television and was convinced that mechanical systems that used, for example, a spinning disc would be too slow to scan and assemble images many times a second. Only an electronic system could scan and assemble an image fast enough, and by 1922 he had worked out the basic outlines of electronic television. Farnsworth had to postpone his dream of developing television. In 1926, he went to work for charity fundraisers George Everson and Leslie Gorell. He convinced them to go into partnership to produce his television system. Farnsworth moved to Los Angeles with his new wife, Pam Gardner, and began work. He quickly spent the original $6,000 put up by Everson and Gorell, but Everson procured $25,000 in laboratory space from the Crocker First National Bank of San Francisco. Farnsworth made his first successful electronic television transmission on September 7th, 1927, and filed a patent for his system that same year. Doesn't sound like he figured it out from plowing fields.
Well, I was just plowing the field there, and I suddenly came up with the idea for television. That's worse than Al Gore inventing the internet.
Wait, what's his name?
Philo Farnsworth.
Farnsworth. Well,
Everyone got really mad at Al Gore. Oh, Al Gore said he invented the internet.
Farnsworth first conceived of the idea of a screen displaying moving images as a 14-year-old farm boy plowing a potato field in Idaho in 1920. Surveying the parallel rows of crop and dirt, we saw a way to use electrons to paint images onto a screen line by line. It was no fleeting notion. Aha!
Okay. Wait, where are you getting that from? Is that from the John F. Kennedy Jr. site?
That's from the ad-lib part of my brain.
I was on Britannica.
I'll put it in the chat. This is called, let's see, where is this from? Your Source News. And also Smithsonian Magazine.
Your source?
Smithsonian Magazine.
Yeah, I got my own sources. My source.
I'm going to put this very interesting thing in the chat so you can all see it. I can't remember where I read. I think it was in... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I came across that, but it stuck.
Ooh, I've got a good idea for it.
Because it made sense to me. Because basically, the way that they draw an image is kind of like plow. I mean, it's like what they said. It's like plowing things line by line.
Yeah. I think, though, they should do a Saucy News channel. That sounds good.
Saucy?
Yeah.
Like just about... You mean like...
Like your Saucy News.
Oh, my Saucy?
Your Saucy News.
My Saucy News.
Your Saucy News.
Just like sources that I come up with?
No, you said like you went to My Source News.
Yeah, I did. Well, I did a Google search and My Source News came up first, but then a Smithsonian Magazine article came up.
All right. Well, I can't do something without this drawing. It's not coming out very good so far.
I'm just reading the story.
Are you believing it?
It seems. I mean, it's Smithsonian. It seems like it's
It's the
legit.
Smithsonian. Are they
Yeah.
a reliable source nowadays?
It's the Smithsonian Flat Earth Society magazine.
I mean, you got to check your sources.
Your sauces?
But all right, the Smithsonian. All right, well, he stuck to this story anyway. That's good branding. You say, yeah, I had the idea when I was a kid. That's just his. Well, that was just how he explained it to everybody. Like, what? You're a kid. Like, they didn't even have television. So how did he have the idea of television?
It's a good explanation. It's a good story. If I were him, I'd stick with it too.
He was doing scanning electron microscopes.
He was 14 years old when he came up with the idea.
On the farm, where he went to a school that had a scanning electron microscope for him to start thinking about.
No, I think that was later.
Well, why did he think, like, oh, I could make a picture scanning?
Well, according to the story, he realized that if you sent packets of information in lines, you could reassemble those lines on the other end through an electronic transmission.
Yeah, Chuck.
And so when he was plowing the field, according to the story, when he was plowing the field, he realized that, you could just send this transmission through electronics.
Yeah, Chuck, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Well, that was in the days where if you go, my friend who grew up on the farm, who now works for a tech company, he says it was awful.
Well, it is now. But it used to be less awful.
He said there wasn't anybody like him out there. And they were all very nasty to him.
So he was basically the Clark Kent of the office?
Yes.
Just because he came from a farm?
Well, farm boy in the city.
Yeah.
In the big city. With all the big city people. Fall in love with that Lois gal.
With what?
With that Lois gal. Lois Lane.
Oh, that Lois gal, yeah. I called her Lois Goyle.
Oh, Goyle?
Goyle.
That
Lois Goyle.
Lois Goyle.
I like that thing where you add that, whatever that is, like Goyle, Squoyle.
Goyle?
I don't know where that
Yeah,
accent's
when you
from.
talk like you're from Brooklyn.
Yeah. What else is said like that? Goyle, Squoyle.
Like Cyndi Lauper, are you talking about?
A little bit. It's like urban, a little bit Jewish, a little bit urban. But it's also kind of like 1920s too. Like
I saw they got a new musical version of Betty Boop coming out on the stage.
What's her story?
Betty
Boop?
Yeah, what are they gonna? I mean, does she have a story? Does she have like a life story?
She
have a
sort
life
of seems
arc?
to be out some sort of dubious sexual relationship with a dog in some of the early cartoons, but I think they phased that out.
You don't know about Betty Boop and who she is?
No, I know who she is, but how do you make a movie out of it? Like, what's the story they're gonna tell? It's like I know who Pac-Man
was an
is, but
excuse for her to be like partially naked and stuff. They weren't cartoons meant for kids originally. They were meant for young adult men.
Those are my favorite.
To be entertained by this sexy girl singing to them, and oh no,
and
my top came off again.
Men like that.
did.
I mean, that's just, I don't know why. I mean, but I think some women like that sort of thing too.
Oh no, you know what they're
some
gonna
women
do?
But
They're gonna-
but I meant that's what she was originally marketed towards, was to men.
But they're gonna completely redo that in a way I won't like these days. They're gonna make her empowered and all this other stuff, and it's not gonna be hot.
She was quite empowered, though, Betty Boop, I think. I mean,
she like
got
a
into these
flapper?
perilous
She was
situations.
a flapper
but-
girl. She had short hair and she wore short dresses
Yeah.
in the 1920s when women like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like,
Well,
you
in the
still
first-
had women wearing Victorian dress at that time.
In the first Betty Boop, she's sort of, her parents are telling her she can't go out, she's got to stay home, so she climbs out the window and sneaks to go out. That's basically what I remember about the first Betty Boop.
I just like, they make movies about a lot of stuff these days, but like a lot of the things, well, sometimes I'm like, okay, what's the story you're going to tell there? Because like with Superman, there's a story, there's this other civilization's falling apart, send them to Earth. He's not from Earth. He's kind of got this. He gets educated by his parents. Is this good? So there's this there's already a story there that I assume came from comics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what's
That was
the
basically the
Betty
elevator
Boop
pitch
thing?
that they gave when they were doing the new Superman movie.
What?
I liked your summation there.
We came from another place where people were strong. They sent him in an asteroid. They said, be a good kid. He lands in a
The
cornfield.
Kryptonians aren't naturally strong. It's Earth's yellow sun that gives Superman his power. Krypton had a red sun. And so when Kryptonians were on Krypton, they were just like humans because they had no strength from the sun. But our sun, the yellow sun, gives him his power.
Superman mythology is the weirdest. Like
Yes.
that's like the least weird part of Superman mythology.
I feel like they should have put it out. I like the way I was telling it wrong. That they were all super strong.
Superman, like on the face of it, he seems like a nice sort of. It just goes around in his cape, around helping him. But the more you find out about him, the more weird it becomes.
I like when he's
The
getting really
habits.
frustrated in high school when he's like, man, I have to put up all these jocks whose asses I could kick, and I have to be like the water boy, and I'd like to play football and get the girl, and this is so frustrating, Mom and Dad.
That's
Yeah.
when the girl was Lana Lang. Lana Lang was his first girlfriend before Lois Lane.
That was a high school sweetheart?
Yeah, Lorna
Yeah.
Lang, not Lena Lyon,
No.
which I'm.
I also
painting
think
here.
it'd be cool if he kind of went through a dark phase where he got tired of fighting evil and kind of retired, and he was just like burnt out, and he just
That book is called Kingdom Come. It's
Damn.
it's illustrated by Alex Ross, and I want to say Mark Waid wrote it.
Well, good for them. I mean, that's a story that whenever it came out, when was it, 1950?
No, Kingdom Come came out, I want to say late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, like that's an interesting narrative to me because to be realistic about it, it might be a drag being Superman after like 10, 20 years. And you might need a refresher. Like you might need to take like a retreat or something and let the world fall into chaos.
The plot of Kingdom Come is that it's like 75 years into the future, and superheroes and supervillains have reproduced, so their children also have powers, and there's so many superpowered people having like these wars with each other that they're causing damage to people, and Atom Man gets split. And so it's like a nuclear bomb goes off in Kansas because he got split by one of the other fighters. Well, that's what pissed off Superman. Superman was living up at his fortress of solitude, staying away from everything in a holographic
Just by
farmland.
himself?
And then Wonder Woman comes down and says, or I guess comes up there and is like, you have to know that like this happened and Kansas is gone. And he's like, I can't be retired anymore. Fuck this shit. And he basically decides there's a giant prison for superheroes, and you either do it his way or you're going in that prison.
Damn, he goes all Judge Dredd on people?
Yeah, and so it becomes a civil
Well, that's
war
probably because the Judge
between
Dredd writers were now writing it because they all came over and started writing American comics.
Well, it's written by Mark Waid, who probably read Judge Dredd, but yeah, so you have team ups between superheroes and supervillains, and on either side of this equation, several against Superman, several with Superman. Batman is against Superman after being with him for a
big
good portion
surprise,
of the time.
Batman.
Yeah, and
Taking his
so-
moment to, I'm better
Yeah,
than
but
you,
Batman,
Superman,
like,
because
in the
I'm
future-
human and I don't use
No,
superpowers.
in the future, he's so beat up that he has an exoskeleton to keep his body, so that he can
okay.
walk and stuff. Because
in
his,
Dark Knight? Okay.
yes, because his body is so beat up he can't even walk anymore.
Okay,
on
so
his
now
own.
he's an old man in a
Yeah.
skeleton. All right, that's
He's just an
bad.
old man at this
And
point.
does Superman age?
Superman ages much slower than humans.
And I don't understand up at his fortress of
He's got
solitude.
gray at his temples in the comic.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and the
That's just copying
logo on
Mr.
his chest is
Fantastic.
black with this really stark S on it, red S on it.
And when he's in this Fortress of Solitude, is he just hanging out there on his own? Because that's weird.
Usually, yeah. But no,
Yeah,
actually,
solitude.
okay. It's hard to answer that question because the Fortress of Solitude also happens to have an alien zoo of all these aliens, animals.
It's even
that-
weirder now.
And he's got all those videos of.
they were part of, like, a
he's got all those
collector's
videos of his dad to watch as well.
Oh, right.
No, and he tried to collect the last son of Krypton, right? Because he wants to have the last of these species and stuff. Well, after Superman defeated him, he realized that no one's taking care of the zoo, and so he took the zoo to the Fortress of Solitude, and he just takes care of the animals when he's there. And he also has a tiny shrunken city that's a Kryptonian city in a glass dome that sometimes he shrinks down and goes inside.
What?
I'm dead serious. I mean, that's like 1950s, 1960s Superman, but I'm dead serious. There's
That's insane.
tiny
I'm
little,
just wondering,
little
is there-
Kryptonian city. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Here, let me look it up.
It's very bonkers, Superman, really, like
Yeah.
all that, like Superman lore.
Kryptonian.
I mean, the thing is, like, they have to keep making all these Superman comics all the time because they always sell, so they just have to keep coming up with ideas. And the trouble is, once you've come up with some stupid idea, you're sort of stuck with it. So then they always try to justify it.
Kandor, commonly known as the Bottle City of Kandor, is a fictional city spared from the doomed world of Krypton in DC Comics Superman titles. Before Krypton exploded, the futuristic city was captured by the supervillain Brainiac, miniaturized by a shrinking ray.
Brainiac, that was the laziest
and
name they ever
placed
came up with.
inside a glass bell jar.
A
Brainiac.
glass bell jar.
You want to see a picture?
Is that
You
what
wanna
I would
see-
call just a jar? Is a bell jar shaped like a bell? What
Well,
is
it's like
a
one of
bell
those
jar?
ones you see in the science labs, like a domed jar that you
Oh,
put
like
over
a
the top of it.
aquarium, kind of like
Yeah.
a sphere.
Yeah.
Here, I'll
Okay.
put it. I'll put it in
Oh, you
our
know, just like
private
one of
chat.
those.
But yeah, there's the dome.
I think we should do a superhero called Great Guy.
Great Guy?
It's about as generic as Superman is, and it can just take over for where Superman left off. Like Great Guy's gonna have lots of flaws. He's not gonna be comfortable with that title, but he can't get the press to change it, so he just begrudgingly accepts it. Great Guy. He feels
sounds
like there's
pretty
a lot of
great.
pressure on him.
They basically tried to do that with Captain Marvel, who later became
Mm-hmm.
Shazam when DC Comics
What?
won in a lawsuit by saying that he was too close to Superman as a copy. And so they won the lawsuit, which means they got the character and they turned him into Shazam / Captain Marvel.
All right. Can we actually go back? 'Cause
Marvel.
I want to talk about
You
my
realize
travel
I do
show.
have a degree in comic books, right?
No,
Yeah.
but I just think this is hilarious. I mean, they took Captain Marvel. Wait, who did they take?
So Captain Marvel was a comic from an independent.
And then they lost this lawsuit, and then they changed him into Captain Marvel / Shazam.
Well, so Captain Marvel was it wasn't a Marvel comic, it was an independent comic, and it was outselling Superman in the late 1950s. And so because he had a cape and he had black hair slicked back and he was very strong and stuff, they said that it was a copy of Superman, and the judge agreed
Which he
with
was. It was, basically. Yeah.
and the
that's
judge
it.
agreed with them. But the name Captain Marvel stayed with the original owners. So they couldn't call him Captain Marvel initially. So that's why they changed it to Shazam, which is his magic word that turns him into Captain Marvel. And then after the original owners had died, the original creators, then the name Captain Marvel was then owned by DC. They copyrighted the name as soon as they could. And so they tried to make him Captain Marvel again because that's what people in the 50s remembered those comics being, but by then he'd already changed to Shazam, and so yeah.
Well, what about Captain Marvel?
I'm gonna pitch a new character called Shazit, and it's about the guy that abandons the scene of anything that he thinks he'll be blamed for. Shazit, that's what he says before he runs away.
Is it?
Shazit.
Publisher was Fawcett Comics, so that was the original publisher of Captain Marvel. 1940s to 1950s, Captain Marvel was the comic book industry's biggest hit with spin-off titles galore. He was a certifiable cash cow for publisher Fawcett Comics.
Captain Marvel, like Marvels, like he does Marvels, but not like Marvel comics. Like he does
That's why it's
Marvels,
confusing.
marvelous things, but it's not a Marvel.
But
brand.
yeah,
As
there's
in the
Captain
word
Marvel, as well.
Marvel.
But where does
As
Captain
in the word
Marvel?
Marvel, like he's
Yeah.
a Marvel.
Yeah. Not as in Marvel comics.
But you're talking about Captain. But I'm really confused. Where's what's the difference between Captain Marvel and Shazam then?
They're the same character. It's just whether or not legally they could use the name at that point in time or not.
So Captain Marvel
Is Shazam.
But
Chuck, it's like 6 and a half a dozen. Okay.
but so the two companies own them, and then it went different directions.
Yeah. There was also a Captain Marvel from Marvel Comics, published 1973, art by Jim Starlin, and created by Stan Lee, Gene Colan. So there was also a Marvel's Captain Marvel.
It's like
Yeah,
him,
there's a
but-
That's what I'm talking about. There's a Marvel Captain Marvel.
Yeah, there's a Marvel Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, real name Marvel, Earth alias Walter Lawson, is a character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, created by writer-editor Stan Lee and designed by artist Gene Colan. The character first appeared in Marvel Superheroes number 12, December 1967. He is the first character to use the moniker
But now,
Marvel in the Marvel Universe. The character debuted during the Silver Age of comics, including a self-titled series in the second volume of the Marvel Spotlight series until his death in 1982, which has since remained largely permanent within the mainstream continuity and most other media, with Carol Danvers becoming the primarily featured Captain Marvel in the modern age.
wait, so that's the woman Captain Marvel.
That's the woman Captain Marvel.
That I've seen. I've seen
Yes,
part of that.
and here's a cool story about Carol Danvers from the comic books and stuff. Is that Rogue, when Rogue was a villain, Rogue sucked her life out and like killed her that way. And then because she sucked so much out of Captain Marvel, of her powers and everything, the powers became permanent, of flying and super strength. And she lost her mind and thought she was Captain Marvel.
Then did she turn into Captain Marvel?
She was wearing the outfit and running around trying to save people.
Wait, I'm confused.
know?
So you're saying that there's this male Captain Marvel that got his like essence sucked out by this other?
No. Female Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
She got her essence sucked out by Rogue.
And then Rogue went bananas.
Went bananas
She went
and thought
rogue.
she was Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Rogue thought
Who's
she was
Rogue?
Captain Marvel.
Who was
Rogue
Rogue?
is from the
Rogue's
X-Men.
from
She
X-Men.
has white hair with brown, and she can't touch anybody because she absorbs their memories and powers and energy.
Yeah, so she can never have a proper relationship.
Yes.
Oh wait, I think I kind of remember that character where she like kisses you and then slowly kills you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, like she's got a boyfriend.
Yeah,
And
but
then
she
when-
started out as a villain character where she was very willy-nilly with her powers, and she could just like hold on to Wolverine, and then she'd have claws and stuff like that.
Okay,
But
she did start as villain. That's funny because when I saw that Wolverine movie, because I'm so behind the comics, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, I thought Rogue was a villain.
Well, so what's interesting about her character in the comics, though, is that because she was so willy-nilly with her powers and she absorbed memories and like people's emotions and stuff like that, when she went bananas and thought she was Carol Danvers, she ended up at the X Mansion with Professor Xavier and stuff. And since he's a psychic, he went into her mind to try and pull her out of there, because there's all these like ghosts of people left inside of her from her touching all these people, and he couldn't find her. She was lost. And so
She's like an amalgam of all these people.
Yeah, that's why Rogue doesn't have a name in the Marvel comics, is because she doesn't remember what her name is. She's just Rogue. Yeah, in the movies they named her Marie, but in the comics she has no name. She forgot her name. She has no idea who she is. Yet later on, you do find out that Mystique. Well, when she was a villain, Mystique, like, she was part of Mystique's evil group. And later on, you find out that Mystique like raised her as a daughter, but turned her into a villain before Mystique became a hero. And you know, all the villains become heroes. It's like a superhero, or it's like a soap opera.
Yes, right. Like the fourth movie, they become the
Instead of sleeping with each other, instead of sleeping with everyone, they just become evil and then good again, and then evil and then good again.
Yeah, you know, it
Well, some of
is.
them
It's
do,
so-
yeah.
Like my mom used to watch.
Yeah, it is a soap opera. That's
My mom
absolutely
used to watch All My Children growing up, and
Yeah.
so whenever any of us were sick at home, we'd catch up everybody on what was going on All My Children. And my mom pointed something out to me when I was in middle school, and I see it everywhere now. She said that whenever they introduce a new character on a soap opera, they're always evil. And you dislike that character to start with, and then they go through a redemption arc.
It's
and
the
then
same
they're
as
good.
wrestling.
Yes, they start out as the heel before they become the
You
face.
start off as the Sheik, and then you become Hulk Hogan.
Yes, they come in as the villain. They become the more
wait.
popular character.
Hulk
yes.
Hogan was the Sheik?
No, the Sheik was the evil. Well, yeah, that's true. Hulk Hogan was always good, and the Sheik was always bad.
Yeah,
maybe it
I'm
doesn't
like-
work that way in
Well,
professional
but
wrestling.
Popeye was also a bit like that.
Popeye
Popeye was
meant
also
is-
came as a bit of a villain when he first came in.
No, Popeye was just a dopey sailor.
Yeah, no, but he was an obstacle. Like they were chasing after the Wiffle Hen, and they'd got this sort of
Yes, they were
terrible pirate
chasing after
captain.
the Wiffle Hen, and they needed
Yeah.
to get to the
Yeah,
island.
he wasn't a bad guy,
And-
but
and
he
he
was an
was-
obstacle to them.
Well, he was the sailor that they got to take him to the island. And
Yeah,
the
but
thing
he was
is
really
just
stupid.
he took over the strip. He was too funny. Like the thing about I don't believe in superstition or luck or whatever. And then, when no one's looking, he's rubbing the head of the bird.
Ooh, music.
Oh, you know what the music means, guys?
Is it that time
You should have
again?
been playing that music all the way through the show.
Your drawing turned out way better than my drawings.
It's getting there. I'm having to keep working at it. I've been fixing the hair so that she's a little more in proportion. The trouble with going straight in with pen is that your first pass, the proportions can be quite off.
Oh, that reminds me. I have to talk to Dale about the pen that he got me. I need I need to replace the ink, and I thought I cleaned it, and it won't let me pull ink into it. And I don't know what I did wrong.
Well, I think then at that note we'll call it an end to the show because I think
Yeah.
my drawing's sort of done.
It's the end of the show.
It's the end of the show.
I'm going to keep working on it. I did
And,
show you one.
the
By the way, I meant to
show.
show you. Here's from last week. I did finish Gem off as well.
Finished Gemma from last week. Yeah,
Did that one.
nice.
If you need something.
Are you working on another book?
Well, I think my next book's called Astro Kitty in Urfspace, and it's sort of a bit of a mixture of all the different things. And I probably, I think it's more or less already. I've got all the material I need. I don't know. I'm still sort of working on it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeehaw! We're off the air, boys and girls.
All right. That's the end of the show. Okay, I'm going to play the theme tune.
All right. Bye.
Here's a theme song for Chuck Whelan Showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelan is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Be on the Chuck Whelan Show. Whoa, 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 whoa.
If you're gonna have a show, you gotta have more guests, sweetie.